Beginning, the Queen's Market. I never planned on witnessing a royal crime. I just wanted to buy spare oxygen coils for my shuttle and get back to my tiny outpost job before my supervisor realized I'd left without permission. But that morning, cycle 442 of the star year, I found myself stepping into the Varos Market, the most infamous trading hub in the Perseid Fringe, and walking straight into something that looked criminal even for this place. Varos Market was built inside the ribcage of some colossal extinct creature, scales hardened into walls, bones turned to archways, hollow organs converted into vaulted chambers. Traders from over 200 species wandered through the glowing tunnels, their voices echoing off ancient cartilage. But something felt wrong the moment I entered. The chatter was hushed, the air strangely tense. Crowds were moving in one direction, toward the central atrium. I followed. The atrium looked like an arena carved from fossilized bone. At its center stood a raised platform, and on that platform stood her, Queen Viralstory of the Amathine Dominion. I recognized her immediately. Every spacer did. 10 feet tall, skin shimmering purple like polished gemstone, eyes glowing with natural biolight, her presence normally commanded entire starfleets. But she wasn't dressed in ceremonial armor or royal silks. She wore trader's garb. And she looked desperate. Beside her stood a much smaller figure, her daughter, Princess Scyra, maybe 17 human years old, though Amathines matured differently. Scyra clutched a woven satchel to her chest, trembling. The Queen raised her arm for silence. "My people starve," she announced, her voice echoing like vibrating crystal. "Our harvest moons have collapsed. Our citadels flicker without power. I come to trade what remains valuable to save my world." Traders murmured. A few already stepped back as if sensing what she meant. She placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "I offer the girl. The Princess of Amathine. A binding contract. Her service, her labor, her powers. 4 10 crates of rations, 6 barrels of plasma fuel, and 1 seed core capable of reigniting a harvest moon." Gasps waved across the crowd. I felt my stomach drop. The Queen was trying to sell her child. Princess Scyra stared at the floor, trembling harder. And the crowd? Instead of laughing her out of the room or arresting her, they whispered like hungry scavengers. Royal Amathines were born with psionic abilities. Some thought they were living weapons. Others believed they were keys to technology humans barely understood. Bidding began. 5 traders shouted prices at once. Scyra squeezed her eyes shut. A woman near me whispered, "The Queen's gone mad." Another hissed, "Mad or practical? I'd sell half my crew for an Amathine psychic." I couldn't breathe. I'd never interfered in alien politics. Never even raised my voice in a marketplace. I was just a maintenance tech on a lonely outpost. But then Scyra's eyes lifted and met mine. They were terrified. Begging. Pleading. Something inside me snapped. I shoved my way through the crowd. "Hey!" I shouted. "You can't sell your child." The entire atrium fell silent. Queen Viralstory looked down at me like an insect. "You dare interrupt?" she asked. I dare," I said, voice shaking. "Because whatever your problems are, selling your daughter isn't a solution. It's slavery." The Queen's eyes hardened. Scyra opened her mouth, like she wanted to speak, but the Queen gripped her shoulder tightly. "Human," Viralstory said coldly, "you misunderstand. My people will perish without energy and food. This is a sacrifice of royal duty, not cruelty. That's what every tyrant says before doing something unforgivable." The crowd gasped. The Queen's face darkened. And then, the princess stepped forward. For the first time, she spoke, voice soft but steady. "Mother, stop." The Queen turned sharply. "Scyra. No. You shouldn't choose for me. She gently pulled away from her mother's grip and lifted her chin. "If someone must be traded," she said, "I offer myself willingly. But not as property. Not as a slave. Only under a fair pact." The Queen stared at her in shock. The traders roared, some angry, some excited. But I couldn't stay silent. "Princess," I said, stepping closer, "you don't have to do this. There must be another way." She looked at me with grief-filled eyes. "There isn't," she whispered. "Not for my people." Middle, the princess's choice. Order collapsed. 10 different species surged toward the platform shouting bids and terms. The Queen tried to maintain control, but her desperation made her vulnerable. This was chaos disguised as commerce. But the princess. She walked straight toward me. She shouldn't have. I had nothing, no resources, no authority, nothing to trade. Yet she approached like she already knew what she intended. She stopped only a foot away. "Human," she said softly, "you were the only one who spoke against this. The only one who saw me as more than a commodity. I just couldn't watch it happen." Syrah's luminous purple skin glowed faintly. "If I must choose a path, I choose one with dignity. And safety." I blinked. "Wait, you're choosing me?" The Queen roared from the platform. Syrah, step back at once. But the princess ignored her. "My mother would trade me to warlords," she said quietly. "To mercenaries. To those who covet my psionic abilities. But you have nothing to gain. That makes you safer than all of them." "Princess, you don't understand. I can't protect you from your own mother's decisions." She shook her head. "You already did." Even standing up to her changed the path. Before I could argue, a booming voice thundered, "Human, step away from the asset." A brute of a creature 8 feet tall, armored, probably a trader from the Vrak Syndicate, shoved through the crowd. I offered 8 crates for the girl. You don't even have credits." He raised a plasma pike. Syrah stepped between us. "Touch him," she warned, "and you won't have a mind left to regret it." Her eyes glowed bright lavender. The Vrak's trader froze, the plasma pike mid-swing. His entire body stiffened, locked. His breathing slowed until it was barely perceptible. Syrah lowered her hand. He collapsed unconscious. The crowd backed away instantly. She turned to me. "You see, I am not helpless." "No," I said quietly, "but you shouldn't have to use your powers just to survive." The Queen stormed toward us, fury shaking the floor itself. "Syrah, you cannot bind yourself to a human. He is beneath royalty." Syrah flinched, then straightened. "I am choosing my own fate. Not being sold like a tool. This choice could bring war," the Queen snapped. "Or peace," Syrah countered softly. "If you let it." As the mother and daughter argued, dozens of traders prepared their weapons, eager to snatch the princess the moment the Queen's control slipped. I realized 2 things at once. The princess would be captured if we stayed. I wouldn't let that happen. I grabbed Syrah's hand. "We need to leave. Now." She didn't hesitate. We ran. The escape. Varro's market erupted as we sprinted toward the bone tunnels. Traders shouted, weapons fired, alarms blared. The Queen roared commands, her elite guards tearing through crowds to reach us. "This way," I shouted, pulling Syrah toward a narrow cartilage corridor used mostly for maintenance. "How do you know this place?" she asked, breath quickening. "I've been here on supply runs for 3 years. Trust me, nobody uses the lower ventilation rings unless they want to smell decomposing exoskeleton. That is, oddly specific. Welcome to the fringe."